Hey Love Squad, I just wanted to follow up with a video about the Lucidesc um, Lucid Dreaming supplements because I've done four sleep cycles with this now, or four separate nights, I should say, with this now. And just wanted to talk about my dreaming experience a little bit and what I've learned from the process. I'm going to try to be quick because I feel like I'm about to lose dominion of my space in a bit and I want to get this done. So, in one of the dreams that I had, this was on, ooh, let me go back. That was three, what was two? Okay, here I am trying to be quick. Quick. I'm looking for the other one. I have 3 and 4, but not 2 for some reason. I don't understand why. So that's 3. Okay. While I'm looking for this, one thing I wanted to say was definitely go back to my very first review for this supplement if you haven't. And I will link the supplement information below if you're interested in the supplement as well, okay? So, anyways, I can't find the other one. I have no idea where it's at, and I need to keep it moving. So I'll start with the third night. If I can find the second one, I'll enter it in later. But I don't have time for this. I have to go. So, for the third cycle, this is the dream. Okay, I was with some friends. And these people were what we would consider to be the Joneses. You know how they say keeping up with the Joneses? They were definitely the Joneses. However, they were like sincere friends. These were real friends that loved me and cared about me. They just had better circumstances than I did. And one of them had been keen on portraying me as better off than I was. Like she was supporting me in this whole charade, if you will. It wasn't necessarily a charade, but I definitely was stretching myself and living a little bit beyond my means, making myself a little bit uncomfortable. It was kind of like instead of being within my limits, I was like pushing the max, kind of. And it was really interesting to experience that. We were just going out, doing things that you do with your friends, but the things that we were doing were definitely I could have been doing things that were a lot more accessible. I'll put it like that for my circumstances. And for this dream, the analysis that I got was basically it was the portrayal of me and how I should say the perception of me and how I'm perceived by certain people versus the reality. I might have talked about this in my last video, I don't know, but that's something that I have been trying to align. A lot of the people around me, my loved ones, they perceive me to be a certain way, but the reality is that it's not. There is a lot more struggling going on than I think people realize. And even the people that do know that I am still working through struggle, they still don't get it. They don't. Because it's like she's struggling, but then they'll say things or like be like, do you want to go do this or do that? And I'm like, but my budget. No, So I am still dealing with that, but it was interesting to have a dream about that. I do feel like in the 3D that is starting to level out. And actually in one of my other dreams that I'll talk about, like the most recent ones that I had last night, actually, I see the leveling out of that in my subconscious, but I'm still doing some work around that subconsciously. Okay. So that was that. And then on the same night, I had another dream that I was home with children who were loved ones. Like maybe like I keep having dreams with cousins and stuff. Like these were like my baby cousins. And oh, this dream, I'm remembering this dream. This dream was deep. It was like a dream and then it changed into something else. Anyways, they had lost something they were like greeting cards or something like that, some type of cards. They look like greeting cards, more or less. And I was like, okay, y'all, I'm gonna go to the store and get you some more cards. Then they had like a partially complete set, but they didn't have the full set. You know how kids are; they lose parts and pieces, right? That's realistic. So I went to the store, and the store was like a Walmart, basically. And there was a man there who he wasn't a blood relative, but he was someone that I was close with, and I knew him. And this was me. Once again, this is connected to that last topic I talked about of how I'm perceived versus how things actually are. Um, Anyways, the man, I knew him. He was like family to me. He wasn't a blood relative, but I was like, I see you. He had on his work clothes. He was a working class man. And I was like, I see you have on your uniform. I know you don't have that much money. Just get what you want and I'll pay for the difference if you want to do that. And he was like, okay. And I was like, go stand online for me too, because I'm about to be done in a minute. And I was perusing. I found the cards that I needed to find. I also found I was in the hair or in the hair section getting some oil, like looking for basic stuff. The long and short of that dream was for me was like I told you guys, I am making progress. So then I saw the aspect of myself that is okay, and then the aspect of myself, that energy. And I don't want to call him a block because he's not a block. It's just where I have been in consciousness, right? So just seeing that and just realizing that the part of me that is really okay is starting to help elevate the vibration of the part of me that has just a lower vibration in terms of income, accessibility, and what's possible. I will say too, for the conscious analysis of this dream, it just helped me to think about so many things, like how I've been raised with my family. It's just really interesting how you pick up stuff subconsciously. So, each generation hopefully progresses and does better than the previous one. So for my parents, it's just really interesting because they worked really hard and they have obtained upper middle class status, but their thinking is still very working class. And it's just interesting to navigate between those worlds. And I see how I was subconsciously influenced by that and impacted by that, and how I'm having to bridge those gaps within myself to make things as I intend versus how they have been. So that was interesting. And then, so moving on, I want to say 2 nights later, which will be today when I'm recording this. I took the, I'll show you again, Lucidesc. I took it again, but this time I did it differently. I want to talk about what I did. I'm also being reminded of something I want to say about these supplements and about these types of supplements in general. So I'll say that in a minute. This time, I was watching a YouTube video before properly going to sleep, but I had taken my chamomile. I was just relaxing a little bit. It was like a 20-minute video, and then I was going to pass out. But I passed out. I didn't even know I was asleep. So I had already been asleep, like in a really, really good sleep for at least an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. And then I came out of it and I was like, oh, snap. Like I didn't take my supplements. I was taking this before I would go to sleep, and then I would just do the full cycle, which for me is about 5 hours. But this time I did it, and then I went back to sleep for the 3 hour cycle. And the 3 hours is typically, they say 90 minutes, not 3 hours. That's like a complete sleep cycle for most people. So anyways, what happened was in this dream, what happened? Oh, okay, there were two. So the first one, I was sent to a luxury women's prison camp. And I know it's like, wait, what? I was sent to a luxury women's prison camp. It was beautiful. It was synthetic, but it was gorgeous. It was like the women were sent to this tropical location, and they had on like these nice prison uniforms, but it was a prison. But the thing about it is, the women there were being healed. It wasn't because they broke the law. They were being healed of like ailments, but it was a prison. That was the dream. Anyways, I started out being a patient there, but I was also a doctor. So I started helping the other women, and I also was discovering my own illnesses. Like I had the beginning stages of cancer, and then there was like another acute illness that I had, and I was just clearing and releasing. Obviously, this was a dream about healing. I was healing something. Anyways, so that was the first dream. And the interesting thing about that dream is that one of my guides was in the dream, but she was so just clear and beautiful. What's the word that ethereal. I use the word ethereal to describe her. I've never seen my guides look like any of my guides look like this before. I think I told you in the last video that like I've had guides and other unseens. Unseens are like, I call unseens like the things that we can't see on this plane, like angels, guides, fairies. They come to me in my dreams. So anyways, she was just there. Just what good. But she was radiant, and her aura, like her light energy was just coming through her, and she kind of sparkled a little bit. And that was a reflection of my energy and where I'm at, because she is me and I am her, right? She's my guide. And I was like, oh wow, like you really over there beaming and shining. And she was just she was my supervisor, but she didn't say much. She just said a little bit, but I was actually doing the work. And if you think about how our guides work in real life, it could kind of be like that. Like in the 3D, you're living and you're doing the actual stuff, but they're there just kind of giving you a little bit of tidbits of information and insight along the way. So that was an interesting experience, and she was just radiant. She was beautiful. And I was like, oh girl, I like this. Look at your consciousness. This part of your consciousness is just shining through. So that was nice. And then in the next dream, I've been working on money. This whole situation with this whole personal growth and development, for me, it started with money. So a lot of my stuff has to do with that, because in 3D, like you probably have already heard tidbits of my stories and my videos that, I was homeless twice and all that stuff. I really have had to work on this stuff. So anyways, the next dream is related to that. What happened was, so you may or may not know that I've lived overseas. I've lived in Bali, I lived in Thailand, and I'm so excited because now I'm getting ready to go to Vietnam. But anyways, I was having like a housing experience that's very akin to the housing experiences that I've had living in Southeast Asia, where you find your apartment and you're getting settled, right? So it was interesting because this apartment was actually like open space, like a big space, and there was the first level and then the second floor. And I'm getting like, ugh, because of the energy of it. Ugh, I can still feel it. That first level was still, it was not nice. It was dirty. It was kind of like the apartment that I had in New York City. It just wasn't a nice space. And these were 3 separate units, but there were no walls to separate them. They were all encapsulated in this one unit, supposedly marketed as 3 separate units, but it was like the bedroom, kitchen, and bathroom area was for one, and then the bathroom, kitchen, and what did I say? Bedroom area was for the second one, and then upstairs was akin to what I'm used to living in Southeast Asia. It was beautiful. Maybe one other person had lived in there before, maybe not. It was brand new, and I somehow was living like my realtor. She even reminded me of my realtor in New York City. I was living in one of them little nasty dinky ones, and I had fell asleep on the bed. And you see my facial expression, because now my standards are just like, I can't do that no more. But anyways, in the dream I did it, and I could hear my lucid mind saying like, girl, why don't you move upstairs? Like, why are you in this ratty ass one downstairs? Like, I was lucidly thinking that, even though I was still going through the dream. So I did have lucidity. And I woke up and I started to look around and get settled and unpack, and I was like, this is dirty. And I was just feeling it more and thinking it in my head. Then one of my friends came by, and she was a plant person in the dream, a botanist. She knew all about plants, and we were talking about her plants, and she was talking to the plants, and she was like about to do some magical stuff with the plants. I woke up before we could get to that part of the dream. But I was like, it was just really interesting, because I know that that also represents a split in my consciousness. The part of me that's still clearing that nasty, grimy, like New York City apartment and reconciling with this new, pristine, like brand new, like it was built a year ago, 6 months ago, unit, like what I'm used to in Asia. So those were the dreams that I had this time around. But these last couple of cycles, they were very helpful for me. Obviously, they were about just my quality of life, money, and just the reconciliation of those things. And I'll continue to process that. But it was very helpful for me to kind of see the progress that I've made subconsciously. Because at this point, I'm working on the subconscious stuff so that the conscious stuff will be right. That's where I'm at in this cycle. So I did want to tell you something about these supplements, these and just in general, right? So it's recommended that you don't take these every day. Take them once a week, twice a week, like that. Because if you take them all the time, they can lose their effectiveness, which is why at first when I started, I was thinking I was going to do this whole bottle. No, I've been doing it once or twice a week. And I make sure that when I do it, I actually have enough time to sleep, which for me is at least 5 hours, to make sure that I have dreams and I can really work on myself. The other thing that I decided to do, and this is intense, but I want to, is to have the day or 2 or 3, however many it takes, where every hour on the hour, am I awake? Am I awake? I'm doing lucidity testing in the daytime so that when I take this and I go to sleep, I can see if I can really enhance the lucidity, because I've done this enough now to see how I'm lucid with this, and I want to see if I can enhance that by doing that wake test. So I will be doing that with this very bracelet right here. Am I awake? Am I awake on the hour? It's not going to be right now. I'm planning on doing it when I fast. My first fast of the year will actually be the second week of January. That's what I'm planning. The reason why I'm doing it when I'm fasted is because when we fast, we're more energy than substance. And I believe that it'll be more effective because my consciousness just opens up and expands. I'll be releasing more stuff. It'll be really good. So I'll follow up with a video about that when I do it. But I just want to let you guys know what I'm doing and how I'm using this. So please like this video. If you have questions about sleep meditation, I'll be happy to help you and give you suggestions. Please comment below and subscribe to this channel. And once again, I will link the Lucidesc information below for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.